Hello everyone, welcome to the book station. I am Sanjana and thank you so much for clicking on this channel. It's been a long time. The last time I uploaded a video was in Feb, and since then a few things have happened. I rarely speak about the personal things on this channel because obviously I do think no one is interested, but this time I wanted to give a small explanation for my absence for a few of you who subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. Thank you so much for hanging in there in my absence. But the reason why I have been absent for such a long time has been um, due to my health issues. I've been dealing with severe bouts of allergic rhinitis over the past few months, which involves sneezing all day and ending up with severe fever and ear infection and throat infection. Medications have not been helping a lot, so I've been dealing with it on my own. And I've also had the regular viral infections, stomach bugs, and the challenges that come with a 9 to 5 job. Though I'm grateful for it, life has its own challenges, which has prevented me from sitting down with a clear mind and talking to all of you. But now that the year is coming to an end, I had this real urge to talk with all of you, to show you some of the amazing books that have been an addition to my small little bookshelf. So I do hope you enjoy this pile of books I have in front of me, because I personally love watching book hauls. I hope you do too. And if you do enjoy this video, then please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I will try to make as many organic videos as organically as possible. Let's get started. So the first pile of books I wanted to show you is from a book fair that happened in my community. The book fair was conducted by a company called booktube. I think they're fairly new, but they had quite a good collection of books, and I ended up finding 5 gems that I've been looking for, to be honest, for a while. To start off with the best one, Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is the Penguin Popular Classics and one of my most favorite editions of books. It honestly smells like an old library and I absolutely love it. I ended up reading Persuasion and falling in love with it. It's one of the most unique Jane Austen books, I believe, and the most unique love stories I've ever read. And the copy is in great condition. It's not torn or worn at all, so it was a great deal. The second book that I got is Jodi Picoult's Small Great Things, and I think I got My Sister's Keeper as well along with it. The reason I picked up both of these books by Jodi Picoult is because they are in absolutely new condition. There is no wear and tear, and it was at a great deal. I do not know what Small Great Things is about. Let me see what it says here. When a newborn baby dies after a routine hospital procedure, there is no doubt about who will be held responsible. The nurse who had been banned from looking after him by his father. What the nurse, her lawyer, and the father of the child cannot know is how the death will irrevocably change all of their lives in ways both expected and not. So I did end up reading My Sister's Keeper, which is brilliant. I haven't watched the movie because I restrained from watching the movies before reading the book, and that book I fell in love with, so I have very high expectations, great expectations from Small Great Things. The next book that I have here is Ian McEwan's Atonement. My friend also got this book from another book fair and we had decided to buddy read it. But since this is set in the war, I know it's going to be heavy and I know the themes it's going to deal with, so I've been putting off reading it. But look at this copy. This is also in absolutely great condition. There are no writings inside as well and smells fine as well. So looking forward to reading this book because I haven't read any book by Ian McEwan so far, even though I have his other book, Saturday. Now the next book I got, I think, is a part of a trilogy or a duology. That is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This book has been on my shelf since I read the book Thief by Marcus Zusak. The cover at least gives me the same amount of same kind of vibes, and I know it is a book about books. Hidden in the heart of the old city of Barcelona is the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, a labyrinthine library of obscure and forgotten titles. So I am sure I'm going to love and enjoy this book, but it's quite thick. So I'm going to put off reading it until I can find the second copy, the second book in the series. The last one I got from this book fair is My Antonia by Willa Cather. I, to be honest, had not at all heard of this book. It was new to me, but the deal that the book fair had was 5 books at 555 or 6 books at 666, something of that sort, and this sounded interesting. My Antonia immortalizes the beautiful, wild-eyed immigrant girl who has haunted Jim Burden all his life. For Jim, Antonia symbolizes the extraordinary contradictions of the American West, its harshness and untamed beauty, its blazing summers and bitter winters, its endless possibilities and vast conquerable horizons. Seems like a love story, but might have to do with the people of the periphery, and that is the reason I think why I picked up this book. The font is quite big in this book, as you can see, which was a surprise, but it's brand new as well and in great condition, so I'm glad I have this book. Now, the second set of books that I wanted to show all of you is a gift from a friend, and you know who you are. Thank you so much. The first one is by a person who has intrigued me for quite some time now since he's become popular. That is Sadhguru, and this book is Death, an Inside Story, a book for all those who shall die. Conversations about death are a taboo in most societies in the world, but what if we have got this completely wrong? What if death is not the catastrophe it is made out to be, but an essential aspect of life, rife with spiritual possibilities for transcendence? For the first time, someone is saying just that. I've been extensively fascinated by death since I understood the meaning of it or wondered what it means. But reading When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalaniti has been an eye-opening experience, and since then I've been looking out for books that talk about death and the meaning of it for different people in different cultures. And when I was gifted this book, I was extremely surprised and shocked and happy that this came my way. But right now I've given this to my father to read it, who is also as fascinated as I am. The next book that I got is a very famous self-help book, which has been, I believe, one of the bestsellers for a very long time. That is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This book, I'm sure, requires no introduction, but I am unsure if I'll ever sit down with this book and go through it page by page. I might sit down with it just to go through a few chapters sometime, because I do believe that some of the things here is outdated, but who am I to say when I haven't even read the book? So maybe someday. The last book I have here from this pile, not the last one for the video, is Yuval Noah Harari's 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. This is again a brand new copy. My friend got it but did not read it. So it ended up with me, and I pray that many of my friends buy more books and do not read it and pass it on to me. This author has been on my TBR for a long time, but I've never read him. One, because I believe that the concepts are quite complex, and two, because books are really thick, and right now I'm not in the state of mind to read thick books. But this, as it explains, is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, and he takes you on a thrilling journey through today's most urgent issues, which I think is an important read, so I might pick it up sometime very soon next year. Now, moving on to the next pile, I'm absolutely confused as to which one to pick. So let's see, maybe books that were gifted to me. The first one is one that I've read a very long time ago, and it is one of the best books I've read in my entire life. It is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. I don't think this is a real copy. Nonetheless, I'm extremely thankful because I read this book, I think, 6 years ago, and since then I've been wanting to buy a copy. I do not know why I hadn't, but this is a book that revolves around the life of twins. I think they're unidentical twins and their life in Kerala. It is it's steeped in the stereotypes and the political aspects that happen in Kerala and is bound to blow your mind. So, if you're someone who loves reading Indian literature but haven't read this book, you're living under a rock. I'm sorry. The next is by a beloved author, Sudha Murthy. Again, this was passed on to me by my friend. It's called Something Happened on the Way to Heaven, 20 Inspiring Real Life Stories We Can Expect Nothing Less from Sudha Murthy. This book is a collection of 20 memorable true life stories handpicked by Sudha Murthy's and published by Penguin. And I look forward to reading this. It's definitely going to be a light read, so I'm going to pick it up sometime when I'm really down. And the next book I have here is one that is super famous and also one that was suggested by a student that I used to teach. It is The Secret, and it is believed that this book has inspired people like Plato, Galileo, Beethoven, Edison, Carnegie, and Einstein about the secret of achieving success in life. It also says here, as you learn the secret, you will come to know how you can have, be, or do anything you want, which I think is the most cheesy bait that anyone can throw. So I'm waiting to read this book and see if it lives up to the hype. The next book I have here is The Legend of Amrapali, and the cover is absolutely brilliant. As you can see, the gold foil is fascinating. It is by Anurag Anand. I hadn't heard about this book until my friend passed it on to me. It is the story of mayhem and turmoil brought about by the obstinate desires of one man. It is a story of sinister plots and political wizardry that transforms an innocent girl into one of the most revered, even worshipped, and occasionally feared personalities of her times. I'm quite fascinated by Indian history, and especially stories like these remind me of the other book I have, Girl Made of Gold by Geetanjali Kolanad, which showcases how women take abuse and turn it into power and wield it like a weapon. So this can be a very interesting read. The next book I have here is the dear old Sherlock Holmes. It is the volume 2 and it's quite thick. I've never had a copy of Sherlock Holmes on my bookshelf except one about the Hound of Baskervilles, and this is an entire copy that contains, let me see, yes, the Hound of Baskervilles, The Valley of Fear, His Last Foe, and several others, and it's quite light for such a big book, and I'm glad I have it and I can go back to it whenever I feel like I need a thrilling adventure. The next one I have is a very famous self-help book which has been the #1 US bestseller, and I think it'll always be a bestseller because I've only heard good things about Tuesdays with Maury. This is the beautiful copy I have. It's almost new, again passed on to me by my dear friend. And this book is about Mitch Albom, who finds a mentor in Maury, the college professor who had taught him nearly 20 years before. Perhaps like Mitch, you lost track of this mentor as years passed, the insights faded, and the world seemed colder. Wouldn't you like to see that person again, to ask the bigger questions that still haunt you and receive wisdom for your busy life that the way you once did when you were younger? Absolutely. I do think that this book can become a handbook for me to deal with, everyday challenges. So let's see how that goes. The next book I have here is, let me see, Love in a Toned Land by Jean Sasson. This book is set in Iraq during war times. It was 1987 and Saddam Hussein has ordered his cousin Chemical Ali to bombard Joanna's village with chemical weapons. And this is the story of Joanna's escape from her war-torn land to UK and her experience in her own words. Again, lately it has become extremely important to understand the geopolitical conditions and read them and analyze them and understand where we stand in history. So, this was again a gift from a friend, and I was glad she gifted me this because it's a very important read. The next book I have is Memoirs of a Geisha. Again, this book has been a famous one, but I regretted buying this book because after I got the book, I got to know that this is the story of a geisha, but not told by a geisha. It is told by an author from the West. So it has been criticized for being told from the Western perspective and from the lens of an observer and not the lens of a person who has experienced life of a geisha. Nevertheless, I will read this book and come to a conclusion of my own and let you all know as well. The next book I have here is one by the famous author of The Silent Patient called The Maidens. This is the story of a group called the Maidens who are under the sinister influence of the enigmatic professor Edward Fosco, and this also I have seen is a major book that is read by people who are fascinated by dark academia, and I think it has murder and mystery and all of that and is going to fascinate me. This copy is also one that was passed on to me by my friend and it is in absolute great condition. I love the gold foil. I love any book with gold foil. Gold just fascinates me. So yeah, I can't wait to read this book and talk to all of you about it. We're almost coming to an end of the pile here. I have 4 more books, of which one I have thoroughly enjoyed reading. It is Khadija Mastoor's The Women's Courtyard, which was originally written in Urdu and called Angan. What a beautiful name for a book, and it is one of the best books of feminist literature. I've never read anything, especially a novel from across the border, and this book is set during the partition, before and after partition, and talks about the impact that partition of India had on the women who lived within the 4 walls of a household. This speaks about different experiences of different women. It is absolutely poetic in nature. It is translated to English by Daisy Rockwell. I thoroughly enjoyed this book and I recently wrote a small review on my Instagram. So if you do not follow me there already, I think you should, because I am slightly regular there. I talk about the books I'm reading and post quite often. So this, I can already say, is a must read. So go grab this book if you love reading Southeast Asian literature and also literature about the partition. The next book I have here, 2 of which were part of 2 different giveaways that I won. I'm so glad for giveaways and people who host them. Thank you so much. And this book had my heart right away. It is Danielle Steele's Invisible, because it says Antonia Adams is the product of a loveless marriage between a beautiful young model and a wealthy entrepreneur. As a child, she is abandoned in the chasm between them. Unprotected and unloved, she learns that the only way to feel safe is to draw as little attention to herself as possible, to be invisible. And in this isolation, she finds escape in films, and it is her dream job to become a screenwriter. And I think it is her journey to becoming a screenwriter and all the revelations and experiences that she has. I've read only 1 book by Danielle Steele so far, which is The Spy. I did not love it, especially because it had very little adventure, at least less than what I expected. But this book does grip my attention and I hope to enjoy it. The next book I have is one that is set in India. It is Black River by Neelanjana S. Roy, who was a journalist. This is a murder mystery, as Kiran Desai's review says here. It is a psychological thriller, a magnificent work of literary fiction. It addresses a society unraveling in the midst of a change, a brutal class divide, the terror of religious strife, relentless violence against women, but it is also suffused with the tenderness for the ordinary, heroic decency of those who persist in abiding by different rules. I do believe that this book is going to have a lot of social commentary about social evils, and it's going to be an enlightening read, especially one that is set in times that I live in. Apart from that, this book is a piece of art that deserves to be preserved. It is absolutely amazing. I appreciate and adore the work that has gone into designing this amazing copy. The next book I have here is the last one in today's video. It was a gift for my birthday and it is one of the best. It is called In the Language of Remembering by Aanchal Malhotra. This is the book. It's a thick beauty. I've been fascinated by Aanchal Malhotra's writing through her Instagram posts. She is the author of Remnants of a Separation, which I believe is her first book, and In the Language of Remembering explores the effects of partition to this day through archives, but also through interviews of people who lived through the partition and who are descendants of people who lived through the partition. It is considered to be a literary living archive of the experience of partition, both first hand, second hand, and through the third generation. I'm extremely fascinated by literature of the partition because it gives us a taste of what it feels to live in a torn land, but also helps us learn a lot of lessons for the future. So I'm hoping to learn and enjoy and live a lot through this book. And yes, this is the book, and I shall read it and probably give updates on my Instagram very often. So that was the huge book haul that I wanted to share with all of you. I'm sure this video has been extremely long, so if you have stuck till here, thank you so much. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for spending your time on listening to me blabber about my dream, my books, and my little bookshelf. I shall see you in the next video. Until then, do read a book, take care of yourself, and have a great day. Bye-bye.